Hello. Hi, Louise. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Hi, Brown Sugar. Good morning. How's it going? Every time I see your username, I want another coffee. Thanks. I used to put brown sugar in my coffee when I lived on a farm. I don't know why it was always brown sugar there. Maybe we probably didn't have white sugar. I don't know. My table's a little messy. How are you guys? Hi, Terry. Happy Saturday. I'm Sarami, and this is So Live, and we sew together, hang out, chat about sewing. We chat about books and food a lot, too. I bet brown sugar. Nina Simone. Hi, Samia. How's it going? So let's see. I had promised you guys to draft a basic bodice and sloper, and when I started thinking about it, I was like, I don't want to half-ass this, basically. And that's kind of what it was going, because, you guys know me. I'm kind of casual about this. I'm not a trained teacher. So, and it's like, it's just we're just hanging out here, but I also really want to empower you guys to be able to alter things or create your own patterns to fit you, or maybe like, oh, I want that, I like that pattern and it works on me, but I just want to make one that looks a little different from all the 12 others I've made of it, so I want to change the color, that kind of stuff. So so when I started looking at it, and I actually got out my pattern drafting books from college, and I was like, how do they go about this? Because I've drafted a basic bodice from measurements before, and it comes out pretty good. You have to definitely fit it. It's not going to fit perfectly, most likely, just drafting it from measurements, because flat pattern drafting is different than draping. Draping, it's three-dimensional, and that has its pitfalls too. So when I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what, let's just go through the process together, and next week, I'm going to give you a list of all the measurements you need to take of yourself or the person you're making a block for, and then we'll go through it and do it together. And we'll definitely get through the bodice front and back. I don't know if we'll get to the sleeve that week, because the sleeve, like I told you guys, I spent 9 weeks only on sleeves full time. So, I don't really want to skirt over it, So, and, if you guys Google how to draft a sloper, there are slopers for sale. There's a lot of people doing tutorials. So there may even be people that have put a ton of effort into doing it and designing a workshop and whatever. So, I know how to do what I do, and I know how to do it pretty good because I've been doing it for so long, and it's kind of instinctual. So I'd really like to be able to transfer how I think about it in a verbal way that makes sense to you, so that I'm not short shrifting the topic, because it's so awesome when you have your own basic bodice. Like, you guys, I'm going to admit, like, before I started the live stream, I really rarely bought home sew patterns. I just drafted it. Hi, Ida. So, and that was just because it's like, oh, I know this fits me, and I know what I want, and I know how to make it. And yes, it's faster to buy a printed pattern, or like a store-bought pattern. And I totally would advocate for that too, because it's like, hey, someone's already put a ton of effort into this. Why not start with that? So it wasn't until the live stream that I was like, yeah, I can't just draft my own patterns and be like, here I am sewing my little thing here, and you can't even like maybe try it, So so next week we're gonna sew the Carolyn pajamas, or I'm going to. I'm drafting the top today. And then the week after that, we're going to do a sloper together. Next week, I'm going to give you a list of measurements so you can follow along if you want. And I think we'll try and go at a pace that you could just stand there and do it together to draft along. And then the week after that, I'm going to sew some kids' clothes. The week after that is a holiday week here in the States, and I'm going to take it. So I'm not going to stream that week. It's usually Thanksgiving here. And then the week after that is the first week of December. And I was thinking that week I might stream 5 days in a row, and we're going to come up with some gift things to sew. So we can do that, and I'll try and give you like a list ahead of time so you can follow along. The week after that is where I'm getting to right now. We're going to address again the bodice block and the sloper, so that if you had time, you didn't do it when we did it together, you can kind of do it by then, fiddle around with it, fit it a few times, and then we can chat. Hi, Frederica, how's it going? So that's my plan. So it's becoming kind of a very casual workshop. So I have conflicted feelings about it just because it's like, oh, you know, like in a way I'm taking money away from people who do this for a living and I'm not charging for it. But at the same time, like I said, if you're looking for that casual vibe and, you know, it's gonna be a good process. So cool. You tried to do from the blueprint and it was good. Okay. Oh. Yeah, that's odd, Terry. Yeah. That's so funny because I've been a double D for forever, and then recently I remeasured myself and I'm a D. And I, like, when I went to buy the jog bra that I was telling you guys I finally found that I love by SheFit, same thing, I was like, all right, I'm just going to trust their system. And it was the same thing as a D, and I was like, okay. So, but a B, no. I haven't had a B since the day after. I haven't been a B since the day after I had my breast reduction. So, that was a long time ago. I still grew a little. Anyway, so today we are making the Carolyn pajamas. I'm going to so here's the Carolyn pajamas. I made these last year's. I've already streamed this. Sorry, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. But I just had this idea where, like, I really love the idea of matching pajamas just because they're kind of like presentable in the house and stuff. I don't know. I'm not really a matchy person per se, but kind of, you know. But I really like the knit, the top being knit and the bottoms being woven. And so I was like, why don't I just pick out my fabric on Spoonflower? And when they had the knit sale, it totally made it affordable because it made it like $14 a yard. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, I feel like, you know, Brown Sugar, that I will, this is going to be a really good process for me. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm going to learn a lot from this process. And you guys are so game to let me figure out how to teach and stuff. How to put into words what I do all the time without thinking, you know? So anyway, we're doing the Carolyn pajamas by Closet Case Patterns. I'm going to be doing a long sleeve top. I'm going to take the collar off. I've made one with a collar. If you guys want to watch it, it's in the videos. It's on the website linked. And then I'm making the jammy pants as well. And so this is the flat sketch. So I'm doing this one, and then I'm turning it into this right here. Probably going to add some piping though to break up the print because the matchy thing is a little much. So I'm probably going to add piping somehow. I'm just going to need to pre-wash it, so because all I have is woven piping. I don't really have like a huge selection of solid colored knits to make piping with. And I'm going to admit I probably won't do piping. I'll just probably fold bias flat and put it in that way because I don't really want to add thickness, and I don't really like sewing piping. I know you guys have asked me, please sew piping, and it's like, I don't quite have the right foot on my machine for that, and I just don't like it very much, so it's not something I've done a whole lot of. It's been years since I've done any piping. But I do like to just fold the bias in half, you know, like this, and then stick it in the seam so just a little bit shows up. I feel like it's a good compromise. So this was from my Myrna dress left over, and I was thinking it would go good to break up this moth print. So like I said, I got these fabrics printed. This is Poplin. This is knit. And these look pretty identical. I mean, those are the same two moths. You can tell this one looks a little darker, maybe. And I'm going to break it up with just a little bit of this maroon kind of throughout that. And then the same here. This one is a knit. This is the knit, and this one's the Poplin. And there is a little bit of color difference in the background. It's actually pretty noticeable on the monitor. It's pretty warm group. I thought this would look springier, and that's why I got it. Yeah, you use bias instead of piping. Yeah, see. I'm gonna use this to break it up because this looks more autumnal. I actually don't remember where I was at when I finally bought it. I had so many favorites. I was just like at one point like, just buy something and be done because I was spending way too much time on it. That's when I bought the Halloween print fabric. Thought I put a holiday print fabric. In fact, I need to do that because I'm gonna make my mom and I shirts for December. And then when I got here, I was like, oh darn, I didn't even get that into my cart. I had like 12 of them liked, you know. So I feel like this is a really great, like, comfy alternative, right? I have the knit top. I'm totally happy to sleep in that. It printed beautifully. I'll pre-wash it all. The poplin's nice and crisp, which I really like for jammy bottom. So that's my plan. And I didn't show you this one. This is the other print I got. I got these animals from around the world. It's like a map. It is a map. I'm gonna make a shirt out of this in the spring though. It's so juvenile. Maybe it'll be a jammy top. But I really love all the animals in their countries. It's kind of cute. And so I just got a yard of this because it's so wide. I can get the front and back of my shirt and a short sleeve out of it, and $14. So that was pretty good for Spoonflower. They don't do half yard increments, so you know, you have to buy in whole yard increments. So I was like, ooh, I hope I have enough, you know. So my sweater, oh yeah, this is do I have something on my shirt? Gosh darn it. This is Chickadee by Isolde Teague. And then the yarn is dyed by Brooke, all naturally dyed yarn. It's really beautiful. This is my most worn sweater that I've made. It's starting to show it, but I love it. Fits really good. I have to admit, like, I really love a lot of Isolde's designs. I don't think she'll ever see this video, so, because I kind of know her, like, she would recognize me because I've been to a few events, you know, but we're not, like, pals or anything. But this was the only pattern I've been able to follow of hers. I don't know, I've tried knitting like a bunch of her other like mystery knit-alongs, hats, and I cannot understand the way she explains things. But this one was fine. This one came together beautifully. And I really like that it's in a book called Little Red something. Little Red? Wait, what's that book called that she wrote? I don't know. That one, maybe like a tech editor like helped compose it. I don't know, but I like that you kind of put in your measurements and gauge, and I think that's how that one works. And then you can get the size that works for you. And this one fits like a glove. Like I could use like the buttonholes will get stretchy. Little Red in the City. Thank you, Ida. You know, I used to have a chicken named Little Red. That's why I was like, Little Red Hen. And there's a chain of stores here in town called Little Red Hen. So, hi Eliza, how's it going? So, anyway, this is what we're doing. So I'm going to take this pattern, and it doesn't admittedly need a whole lot of changes, and I'm going to change it to this. And then I actually brought mine in that I sewed. This is the one in the video. And I never wear it, and it's just basically because it would need a little ironing to wear it so that it fit right. You know how sometimes wrinkled things make it too small? That's where I'm at with this. It fits me perfectly, but I have to iron it, and I'm not ironing pajamas. No. So, you know, it turned out great. I really like how it turned out. See, this is what I'm talking about. I didn't use piping. I just used this bias as an edging. And my pajama pants are out of this floral, so not quite matchy-matchy. I did do the trim on the cuffs and on the pocket here, but my idea is that I'm going to take the collar off. And because this is kind of just fits perfectly, I think what I'm going to do is keep the sizing the same. Because I think in a knit, you can use negative ease in knit, you know, you can kind of take a little bit away. This is going to be great in a knit. So that's my plan. So I'm going to make it kind of like a baseball jersey style, where I'm going to kind of slope the little neckline there a little bit. And then I'm also thinking that for a twist and to make it a little harder on the pattern drafting for me, not harder, but just like an extra step, I'm going to make this facing a seam right here where the facing is. So I have an opportunity for piping right there. So that'll break it up a little bit, because putting the piping here, I could do that. I mean, that would work. That would definitely work, you know, like right along the edge right here. But I was thinking that away from the placket would be kind of cute. So that's my plan. And I probably won't put it on the cuffs because of the knit. I don't really want to make the knit stretched out right there or kind of fixed. So I want it to be soft. You know, I want to sleep in it. I'm not going to a public event wearing my pajamas, you know? You know how you get your nice jammies out when you're like going and traveling, you're going to hang out with friends and share a room with them? That's what these are for. I don't though. If Brooke were here, she'd be like, she doesn't wear her nice jammies, you guys. I just wear a t-shirt and some bottoms. So, but I do wear my Carolyn pajama bottoms every day. Like I wash them and start wearing them again. They're my favorite. But I'm pretty sure the sizing runs a little small. Like the sizing between the top and the bottoms is quite different, is my recollection of it. So this one right here, last time I cut the, this is why I actually left this out, because I kind of worried if I leave this in the pattern envelope, it usually means that the sizes aren't printed on the thing, and they're not. So this one right here, I cut out the 12 top, size 12 top, and then the let's see what size I did for the bottoms, because remember Julia was here the other day and she was like, I just made those and they were like 2 sizes too small. That sounds familiar to me. And I made the size 16 bottoms. Hi, Lexi. Happy Saturday. How's it going? I have your opium coat all ready to go to you. I was just trying to find a lighter box because I was going to use one of your boxes and it's like 3.5 pounds, and I was like, well, that's kind of expensive. It'll add like $1 or something to the shipping, you know. But I'll let you know the weight and then I'll send it off. I won't wait as long as I did last time, I promise. I'll go right to the little drop-off thing. Yeah, it turned out great. So after I did my home sew catwalk and the pictures of it, and I hung it on the form, I was like, this lining, it's hanging below. And so I popped open the side seam, just so you guys all know that I did this, and I wrote this all in the notes on the project description on the website. And so then I let the lining hang down, kept the hem folded up, and then I cut the lining 3/4 of an inch below the raw edge of the hem when the hem was folded up. So, you know, like the hem was like this, folded up, and then the lining came down, and whatever hung below, I just cut it 3/4 of an inch away from this raw edge right here. And then I popped open that side seam, put it right sides together, sewed it all up, hand sewed the side seam back together, and it looks way better. I feel like all of the issues on that coat are totally sorted out, and it hangs really great. I think that linen may have relaxed a lot, because I actually had a note to you guys in there to be like, can you guys please tell me, are the collar pieces and the front and back facing, were they ones traced, were they actually the right size? Because I feel like I kind of went a little crazy sewing that, and I couldn't, mine was 3 inches too big. Wait, what was it, you guys? The collar was 3 inches too small, right? And so I was like, you know, just for laughs, let's lay the pattern pieces that they sent me on here, and it all worked. So I don't know what happened. Because if I measure the body of the garment, it measures to what the coat measures. So I don't know. Maybe when I ironed it, it shrank a little, but that would be so much shrinkage. So I don't know. It all worked out. So anyway, I'm excited about these, and I'm really excited to have these pajamas. So let's get cracking. All right, so I pulled out all my pattern pieces. And so like this is the facing that I was telling you that maybe I could just make it an external facing, right? So then it would sit on top of the, do you think you guys can see better on top of the white paper? Like that? Or maybe if I lay it on the manila? Or does it matter? I'm gonna cut a little bit of paper off first. Let's cut a little paper off. This is so bad. I'm still using my plotter paper. Let me just hack that off there. Yeah, it was fine, Lexi. I feel like it could have been a 3-part video series, but I was taking my sweet time, and then I think part of it was I was hesitating because I knew something was up. You know what I mean? All right, let me just cut this piece off. Sorry, it's gonna be a little loud. Maybe not. I usually try and do that before I start. On the manila, yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. I'll have to be on the white paper for some of it, but. So here's my pattern pieces. I'll unpin my pocket on here. So I really don't even need to, like if I were not taking off the collar, I could just, you know, sew the facing on the outside. That's all you do. But you can also make it a seam right here so that it just sews right sides together. And I think that's what I'm going to opt for. I feel like that is it easier? What do I want to sew? So let me just trace off my front here. Because I don't want to alter this one permanently. So we'll do that. And taking off this collar is pretty straightforward. I definitely shortened my shirt. You can see it right there by quite a bit. So, and I think if I were to make a woven version, I'd probably take let half of this out on the length, but on the knit, it's going to be fine. I actually tried it on, and I tried it on over a shirt, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want. I just want it to be knit, so that's my plan. All right, so I have my handy dandy little tracing wheel, but let's get our piece of paper out from underneath. Why didn't I do that first? All right, so you guys don't seem too disappointed that I'm going back on my bodice sloper. I just want to do it right. So I use this tracing wheel. It's really sharp. It's not like the kind you see at Joann Fabrics usually, and they're not hard to find. I'm pretty sure it was Lisa who said you can find them. Is it Lisa who said this? On Waywack. I've never ordered anything on there, but this just transfers the lines as holes. So it's kind of like connect the dots. And this is a great way to copy a garment, because you can copy a garment that's still sewn together without taking it apart and not damaging the garment. It can damage the fabric, so be careful. You just got to be careful which fabrics you use it on. So I'm just going to transfer this whole thing. This is why pattern drafters use manila paper, because they can just trace around it. They don't have to do this part. Oh, great, Terry. Yeah, and they're pretty affordable. I've had mine since college. This is the only one I've ever owned. So I've had this since 1989. All right, this is the grain line. Don't forget to do that. And let's see, it's a 12, so we're going to do the drill holes for the pocket as well. Here's the center front. You definitely want your center front mark. I know that's the front. There we go. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so now we can just put this away. And we don't need this facing, because we're going to have to draft another one. So I'm going to use, I don't usually use Sharpie for pattern drafting, but I do it so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to transfer all my dots now. So am I inside the, do you need the, I can zoom the camera if you guys would like. Do you guys want me to zoom it? I would still have my all that I got in college too, except it just disappeared one day. Like, poof, disappeared, you know? The only thing I can think of is that it went into the garbage can and I didn't find it in the garbage can. You know what I mean? I try and do all my straight lines. They're not very straight when you transfer them, I will admit. Okay, so this is the... And then you need your grain line. Don't forget that. Should be parallel to the center front. And you'll notice that this kind of swings out a little bit. So you can now chop that off like this. I'm kind of ruthless about Sharpies. So here we go. And now we're going to kind of blend this line into kind of more what we want. And so I tried on the pajama shirt, and I kind of like did this kind of thing where I was like, okay, where do I want this? You know what I mean? So I kind of figured it was about an inch over, about right here. So we're just going to take this. I liked how close to the neck this is. You might want it further away. But I find that the places I get cold are my neck and my ankles, you know? Like some people have cold hands and feet, but mine is my ankles on my neck. Maybe it's because I have long hair and I'm always used to being warm there. Like my poor husband, we ate outside at a restaurant last night and he was like, mine just touched my ears and they're so cold. And I was like, oh, see, I don't have that problem. So I'm always wearing a blanket on my head. So I could do that. How did I have it drawn? So I have it a little more of a, like that. So let's draw a few in pencil first. Let's do like that. Maybe scoop it a little like this. What do I like? I kind of like this. Like I said, I don't usually pattern draft with Sharpies. So, all right. So this is my front. And then, remember I marked the center front right here. So the center front, well, that's interesting. If that's the center front there and that's the center front down here, that means that this, I may not have gotten this. I straightened this out though. I may need to trim a little bit more off here. So this center front line is the line that's straight down the middle in the center, right? So anything that extends past it is an extension for buttons or zipper or seam allowance, right? So you want this line, maybe this is more parallel than I think. No, that's an inch, this is an inch, yeah. So we're just gonna trim this off a little bit. It looked straight, but it may have gone at more of an angle than I realized. Is it really an inch and an eighth? We're gonna make it an inch. And I'm going to, I want a rotary knife. I'm going to clean this up a little bit right away because it's bugging me too, don't worry. I find these curved edges right here when you're doing a curved corner, when you do it really softly, it makes where you overlap the garment a little wishy-washy, like at the top. You're like, where do I put that first button and buttonhole? So it's kind of better to have it more come out a right angle and then just curve it right a little bit, like right at the edge there. Because that curve will be louder when you sew it than it looks right now. I need a rotary knife. Let me find one. We're going to get rid of all this so that you don't have to look at it. Like that. All right. All right, so basically we're pretty good here. These are the pocket drills. And then now I need to decide my facing. So if my extension here is 1 inch and I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, it means it's only about 3/4 of an inch, right? So if the extension is 3/4 of an inch from the center front and you line up both center fronts, you get 1.5 inch wide placket, which is pretty substantial. You know, it's like this wide right here. Okay. So, you know, when your placket is, well, let's do it over here. I'll show you. I have a ruler that I use when I'm putting my Sharpie up against it, and then I have a ruler that I never use a Sharpie up. That's why it says grain lines on there. So that's the width of the placket. That's pretty wide. But it's not kind of nice because then you know that when you have your buttons and buttonholes on it, you have less like gaping and stuff like that when it's a little wider. So you can make it narrower if you want. But the reason I'm saying this is let's pretend that the other facing is behind it, right? So this is when it's lined up, the other front is going to come all the way to this edge right here, right? So why I'm saying this is if I want to put a seam where my facing is along this whole front, I need to be careful like where I put it. Because if I end up putting it right here along this edge, it won't show, right? And we kind of want to see it if we're going to put the trim in there. The other solution is, you know, that it only goes along the neck right here, right? But I kind of want to see it. So I think what I'm going to do is put it about right here. Let's see. Yeah, so if we do this about, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch away. Let me see how that looks. 3/4 of an inch. This is my center line. My other shirt goes to this line. All you would see is this line right here. And then the front would come across over here and there'd be like buttons right here. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if you can see that. So let me zoom in a little bit. I think it'll help. I think I can zoom in right now, right? Right? Is the lines doing something crazy on your screen too? It's a little better. Kind of, but these lines look kind of crazy, don't they? Okay, wait, I'm gonna say apply. Okay, go away. There we go. All right, so can you see my buttons on here? So I have buttons here. I'm looking for something I could use as a button. So we'll pretend like my buttons are right here, right? I have one here, I have one here, here. Well, these kind of buttons are getting kind of big right there. All right, then I have my piping is right here. Yeah, I think that'll work. I could go get buttons, but all right. So now we're gonna put our facing right here. This is 2.5 inches away. Sometimes this curve can be a little tricky right here. And you can kind of soften it if you like. Because sewing this curve is a little harder than it looks. So I think softening it would be better. I usually use like French curves and things like that for those kinds of curves. All right, so now we need to add our seam allowance to this piece. Now, if you if you didn't add this curve right here, you could actually put this on the fold, but it would be a little awkward, so I don't recommend it. All right, so we're gonna cut this apart. I also don't usually cut my patterns out with a rotary knife. But when it's on paper like this and I'm doing kind of it real quickly, it's fine. Wouldn't be how I would do it if I was hired by someone. Let's get rid of a lot of this. And then make a new pattern piece. You need to add seam allowance to this edge and this edge. I'm a huge fan of 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that's what I'm gonna do. You guys are so quiet right now. You always kind of creep me out when we do that. All right, I'm gonna retrace this piece completely because it's such a mess. It's always gonna bug me if I don't. Just making sure I'm still alive because you're so, yeah, you're concentrating, exactly. That's what you guys usually say when I'm like, wait, you guys are really quiet. But sometimes I've like, my stream's crashed and it doesn't tell me. It still says I'm live. So I'm like, oh, okay, still there? All right. So I'm gonna add my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I love these see-through rulers for this exact reason. For adding seam allowance, it's so nice and easy because I can just, why do I keep going off right there? I can just line it up and keep it parallel. You just gotta watch that sometimes these rulers, this 1/8 of an inch along this edge and the 1/8 of an inch running along this edge can be different widths from each other. It feels like now they've kind of fixed that issue, but for decades they were always off, and I just ended up using it as a tool. I would use like the wide one for some things and the narrower one for adding seam allowance. All right, so now we have our seam allowance for this piece. And I'm gonna tape the back. You're not shy using tape as a pattern drafter. It'll last longer, and it's really nice to get all the way up to these edges right here so that it just doesn't get raggedy, you know? All right, so always right angles there. All right, so this piece is ready to cut out. Now let's just add this. Let's just change this piece here. So I'm gonna use the removable tape for this one, because I'm just gonna cut it out again. She loves popcorn. And it's her evening, right? So it is kind of a good snack for right now. All right, so I'm gonna add my 1/4 inch to this side here. It is knit, so doing 3/8 of an inch might be more prudent. But what I'm gonna do is probably pre-serge these edges, and then I'm going to single needle them on. And by single needle, I mean like just sew it with my straight stitch machine. I know, right, Lexi? I was just thinking, I have some popcorn here, and when I got it out yesterday afternoon, it's salt and pepper popcorn, and it tasted a little stale, and I was like, I just opened this. Why does popcorn have to go stale so quick? All right, so I'm gonna cut this piece out. Curves always seem like they're gonna be really easy to sew until you get down to sewing them and you realize, oh, I have to put it like this in my machine and sew this curve, right? It looks so easy right now, right? That's why you want to make that curve pretty manageable. So, all right, so I'm just cutting off this other yucky pattern. Like that. So I am going to want to transfer my center notch. So I have it. Okay. So my center is right here and right here. And things I do to remind myself of the seam allowance I added is I will do things like this, just draw it on here and write it in here. I'm not actually sure what the rest of the garment is, so I need to look that up, you know. All right, and so here's my center. Right here. And those are helpful notches for when you're lining everything up at the end. All right, there's our front. You always want to label it. So what size did I say this was? Was this a 12? And it was a 16 bottoms, right? Pretty sure. All right, so that's the cut amount. And then for this one, we're going to probably cut 4. Okay, it's my external facing. All right, we have our front. And now let's just look at our other pattern because I'm almost done already. 12, thank you, Samia. That's what I thought. All right. Okay, so here is, I got out the scoop neck tee pattern that I made. Remember that in May when that was my Me Made May pledge that I really wanted my own t-shirt pattern that I could rely on for me that would last a while. So I'm just going to compare the sleeve pattern for this compared to mine. And this one mine looks like a little of a flatter sleeve cap. So that's okay. I'm not going to use it. I just wanted to see where it was at, especially this. Like, I don't think I want my sleeve to be this wide at the hem. So I'm just probably going to, that's all I think I'm going to alter. The sleeve is kind of wide at the hem for me because it gets hung up on things, you know. It is traditional though. Like if you want really traditional women's pajamas, the closet case pattern is great for that. And that's what people rave about that. They're like, I was looking for traditional pajamas, you know, and this is it. So it's great. All right, and so here's my back. Now, so far the only change I've made to the front that's going to affect the back is the fact that I made the external facing, and I'd like to carry that over to the back. So, but I'm also just going to compare, like this is always great, just compare how it fits compared to something you know, right? I have a higher armhole, and I do that mainly because I feel like things fit better when the armhole fits really well and it's kind of close. You'll hear me talk probably a lot about that during our sloper workshop, where I really like the shoulders in through here. If you can get the fit of that right, the shoulders and your armhole, the rest is a lot easier. Hey, Julia. Julia, thanks for your Patreon subscription. I saw that. It was nice of you. And I think that so many ready-to-wear patterns right now don't have set-in sleeve options. They're cut in one, or dolman, or the kimono style that, you know, we're hopefully renaming it at some point. And when you can get this fit all correct up here, you have more range of motion, you feel more confident in your clothing, you're not getting hung up on things, and it just feels like everything else will hang right if you can just get this whole area fitted correctly. So it's really important. And bigger is not better for fit. Like if you're like, I just don't like how things always feel too small, or they feel too, like it just feels weird. Like I feel like I'm always shifting in it. That's just ill-fitting. Don't go bigger just to compensate for that, because when it's bigger, what happens is when your armhole is drooping all the way down here, it limits your range of motion, but also your whole garment raises up every time that you lift your arm up, which feels really weird, especially if you're self-conscious about any of this area of your body. That's my self-conscious area, is my stomach area. And I don't like anything that hikes up my clothes, right? So like this Mellow Low shirt I'm wearing, I really love it, but the sides being so high makes me a little self-conscious, because like, look at that, you know? So I really focus on that, and that's why like I will put my t-shirt pretty high up there. It's actually not much different. Look at that. So, and I find the armhole and the sleeve on this pajama top pretty good. So it's got a cap. It's the Grainline Studios. I have a little trouble with their armholes. I think that they have very slender arms. I don't have really big arms, but I don't have slender arms. So I always need to drop that armhole, which is rare. Usually I like to tighten it up a little bit. So that's just my thoughts. I feel like so many ready-to-wear patterns don't have set-in sleeves, and set-in sleeves are really what make, like if you can get a good fitting pattern with a set-in sleeve and it fits well, it makes the whole garment feel 1,000 times better. It's just something about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know, Terry, right? I know. A lot of guys, they just don't have the curves we do, and they can be a little easier to fit. It's a little counterintuitive to fit them if you've always been working on your own body, you know? Because, like, I forget, like, I got all the booty. My husband, you know, doesn't got the booty I have, right? So, and men don't have thighs the way women do. You know, their waists are straighter from waist to hip, you know, so there's less of that variation. You know, where we're trying to get our pants to stay up and we have to taper it so drastically and quickly to the waist sometimes. So yeah, so I feel like if you're willing to sit there and kind of like not rush the process and kind of look at it objectively and just chip away at certain aspects. But there's plenty of times, you guys, especially when I was young at this and in college doing patterns, I would do so many adjustments to the pattern that I didn't know what was real and what wasn't, and I'd have to start over. Raise your hand if you've been there before, that you've done so many adjustments, you're just like, I don't even know what's good anymore. And I feel like I'm right back at the beginning. I actually heard that about someone's pattern class that someone took. And they said, you know, the gal was really great. Like she really knew how to fit her body and she was really helpful and she had really great tips. But I made so many adjustments to my pattern in there that at the end of it, I compared it to the original and it was almost identical. Yeah. And it's just one of those things. So I think that's why having a dress form that's your size would be just like the cherry on top, because you can kind of go, oh, look at that. My left shoulder's lower than my right shoulder. You know, we're not symmetrical, you know, so, and we're all so differently shaped, you know. It's funny that you don't hear men talking about things not fitting them. There's probably a study that needs to be done about that. Is it because they don't notice? Is it because it does happen and they don't talk about it? Is it because they actually are easier to fit? I don't really know. I've seen a lot of different things to support any of those arguments. So anyway, this sleeve is very traditional for this top. Traditional in the style of sleeve making, which is I'm always supportive of. So, and the closer it fits, the better it feels on. Funny enough. So I'm going to go with this. I'm going with the Carolyn stuff. I'm just going to narrow the hem here, and I'm going to change the back to how that facing. So that is all I'm going to do. All right, so I can get rid of these. I just brought them out so I had a comparison. And you know, my Halloween top the other day that I made, I didn't, remember I got the fabric the day before Halloween, so I was like, ooh, I don't really have time to pre-wash this. I know the shrinkage that the amount of shrinkage that fabric has, so I ended up just adding it to the pattern. And you know what I did? I used pre-washed fabric on those sleeves. That also I cut on the cross grain because I didn't have enough to cut on the length grain. And there was stretch going both ways, so it was fine. But I added shrinkage to the bodice in the width and in the length, and not anything to the sleeve. So I had to ease the sleeve to it. And that's what you do a lot of times, because when you add shrinkage to things, the sleeve is really weird, because when it sews to the garment like this, right? So really, let's look at it this way. Hopefully you can see these pattern pieces. Shrinkage usually is more in the length. Knits are a little different. Knits actually can grow. They can shrink so much in the length that they grow in the width. It just depends. So, yeah, maybe not, right, Ida? Exactly. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's funny. You're talking about guys, right? Yeah. So, funny enough, though, if you look at the sleeve and see how the way it's positioned to the body, this on the sleeve is the cross grain. This cross grain is sewing to the length grain of this. So anytime I worked somewhere where I had to add shrinkage, if the length shrinkage was significant, like in the 20% range, which is quite a bit, you would have this armhole being 20% longer. Whereas the cross grain, it may have 0, it may grow. And so sometimes you would have to put this sleeve into this armhole that was completely wrong. But when it washed, it all worked out, hopefully. Thankfully, we were doing mostly on kids' clothes, and so it was small distances. But like the leggings, the Lycra leggings, they would be in the 22% longer range for the leggings, because the Lycra shrank so much. It was kind of funny. So, and that when we had a couple of times, we had those batches where it would shrink so much in the length and grow so much in the width, the patterns just looked crazy, you know? So that's why you have basic blocks too. You have a basic block, and then you can use that block to add shrinkage for every lot of fabric that comes in, because every lot's shrinkage is different from a different lot. So you'd have to test it. It was crazy. But that's just a side topic. So anyway, so let's see here. Let's get some paper here. Do I want to... Maybe I can fit this on here. Great, I can. That's great. Right there. I think I'll bias this down here. And maybe what I'll do this time is just trace the piece for the facing. So let's draw on here what our facing is going to be. I don't know what the seam allowance is on this. Maybe it's time to figure it out. Okay, let's see. Look at how small this pattern book is. I just got another draft of my sewing pattern today, and my pattern directions are color photograph illustrated, so it's going to be a few more pages than this. All right, so to sew a French seam, line your fabric 3/8. Wait, what's the seam? Seam allowances are 5/8 of an inch unless noted. Okay, let's see. This is why I like them written on the pattern. It's just much easier. This is the pants. Where's the top? Looks like everything's 5/8. Even the neckline? Guess so. All right, 5/8. Perfect. So we'll overlap this 1.25 inches. 5/8 plus 5/8 is 1.25 inches. And then that way I know if I just line up my edge to that, the center is a 5/8 inch seam right there, right? So I'm just trying to find what the width of this facing is. And I'm going to take off the seam allowance now. And that is the finished width of the facing. So all these edges here have seam allowance. This one does not yet. All right. We're just going to draw it on here. 2 3/4, right? Yeah, 2 3/4 all the way around. Or yeah, 2 1/2. Wait. Oh yeah, that's 2 1/2, 2 3. Yeah, 2 1/2. I just started adding the seam allowance back on there. Okay. So I'm just going to trace this back up to that line right there, and then I'm going to add seam allowance to it. Right, Ida? That's so true. Yep, exactly. I moved all my weights to the other table. So all I have are these two. Maybe I have another one of these glass ones. Someone made these for me. Obviously, I really like orange and lime green together. Like, I went through a big phase of it. Like, I have an orange sweater, and I didn't really do lime green, but I did like the teal, you know? And then this has the orange and lime green. And she's a glass artist, does fused glass. She actually co-taught, she was like the co-mentor at the high school with me when I started there. And I ended up taking some of her workshops on fusing glass. It was really cool. It was really great to get taken totally out of my comfort zone. But she made me these paperweights. They're just kind of hard for me to pick them up, so I don't use them as often, you know, because they're like smooth. All right, so we have our back traced. But I do like how low profile they are, and I can see around them, you know. Whoops. Oh, the buckle at the... My husband's super observant about how his suit jackets and shirts fit. Buckle at the nape. Oh, interesting. So, like, right back here. Interesting. I wonder if that's because he has... is it that he has broad shoulders and it's like going up? It's like sitting up too high and then buckling, like sitting out? Or is it the reverse? I'm trying to picture what kind of buckle. All right. All right, so here's my facing seam right there. Well, let's add our 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right. I promise I don't always write this terrible, but it's always with you guys I do this. Yeah, I know, it's true, Julia. That's it. Oh, he does, yeah. Yeah, because I think like that kind of adjustment is they allow for that because the seam in the back of the jacket doesn't have like tons of seam allowance inside, and there's a seam going straight through the collar of the jacket, so they can pull it apart and they can let it out. But it is kind of a very specific tailoring technique, you know. This is really terrible. Sorry. I'm going to put a double notch right here, and that'll be my sewing guide. This is usually, I would put this 1/2 inch apart, so you'd put it 1/4 inch away from the center, and so then there's one over here when it's opened up. Also the crotch on pants, yeah. Yeah. There you go. So I'm just going to cut that out. Do you think I have enough paper there? I don't know. Let's see. I've been trying to like conserve this little piece so I can do my facing. Oh yeah, plenty. Plenty. So now I can make my facing. It's still traced on here. I can see it. So I'm still going to trace it on the seam line and then add the seam allowance. Got it all. It's always good to check because I always forget one and you can't see it. You think so? Really? I don't know. They seem like they're totally fine with it and I'm kind of jealous. I'm like, how come I can't just let my belly hang out like that? You know? I've been walking with my new friend a lot. Like we've been walking our smallest walk was like 6,000 steps, but we've done 8,000 and 10,000 step walks. 8,000's kind of been typical. And, you know, it's like I'm kind of doing that whole, how come nothing's changed on me? How come I haven't seen benefits? But admittedly, I was always a runner, not a walker. So you really want these junctures when there's a fold right here to be right angles. There is really barely any other reason or excuse for it not to be a right angle. And I'm a stickler about that. As messy as it looks like my pattern drafting is, I promise you, I was a darn good pattern drafter. And I see a lot of errors, even in ready to wear, where there's no right angle right there, and it is setting you up for mischief. Hi, Malin. Tonight we fall back. So next time you see Malin on Wednesday, it'll be an hour earlier. Yeah, it's daylight savings tonight. So, I think we've got everything. I kind of want to cut this out right now. You guys down for that? Otherwise, I'm done. Wasn't that convenient, Malin? You're like, can't you guys change to daylight savings? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. We got you, Malin. Tonight. How's that? Does that work for you? All right, so here's the cuff to the sleeve. Oh, I need to alter the sleeve a little bit. Okay, facing. Keep going. What, Beverly? Beverly, thanks for the emails. Beverly sends me a 3-word email that says, snails have tentacles. Wait, is that what you said? Tentacles, right? I have so many comments on that. It kind of cracks me up. Okay, sometimes I just need to put all my tools away even though I know I'm about to get them all back out again. I gotta this is what I do. I end up building all the stuff and I'm like sliding over. Yeah, I'm down. I really like my Saturdays here because I end up staying all day. Because, you know, technically I take all of Monday off. I need to work all of Saturday. And sometimes I was just leaving after the stream. So, but I do personal projects Saturday afternoon. So it's kind of nice. All right. So this sleeve, I want to narrow it. And there's a cut here for VB. Perfect. That's what I was going to check. I wanted to make sure that the cuff didn't need to be added to this, and it doesn't. So I'm going to put this back. All right. And then I also, I have a calendar image for us for November. You Googled it, Beverly? Well, someone else Googled it, and they were like, they have, someone said 4 tentacles, and someone said 2 eye stalks. So, I don't know why I think it's a snail horn. I feel like I heard that term somewhere. Maybe it was an erroneous, thing. Imagine that, it being wrong, I need to mark this better here. There's, I kind of can tell that I know that would be my shoulder because of how I wrote this on here. But maybe next year, I may not. And I also need I need my notch here. That sews to the other one. Right there. All right. So maybe I'll just punch these right now. I really wish I could find my pattern hooks. It's driving me crazy. Oops. I have a hook hanging here. I'm just going to try and hang it on there. I don't want to accidentally throw away my facings because that's never happened before. All right. Sorry, this probably makes the camera jiggle, huh? Yeah. I use my rabbit as my weight for the frame. All right, let's do a little bit of paper. I'm usually so good at cutting paper, but maybe those scissors are just not having it. I don't know. Okay, here's my sleeve. And one thing you can do, usually sleeves are symmetrical. I did see in my college pattern book that there were some interesting like tutorials on fit adjustments. Typically there's nothing like that in my pattern book because it's not custom. It's not geared towards custom. You know what I mean? It's geared towards commercial. So your sleeve, it should be symmetrical except for the cap. The cap is not. The front will be scooped out more because your arm sits a little bit forward and you scoop out that little bit, a little crescent right along the front cap. But you can start with it. I hate curly paper. This is why I usually cut my paper before you guys are here. I get it uncurly. Is my camera crooked? Oh, I can't have that. There we go. Can't believe that wasn't bugging you guys. All right. Oh yeah, see, it's not even strong enough for the tape. Okay, so we got this pretty good on here. Line it up on the fold. Really, I'm worried about the cap. I just want the cap to sew in as well. It's knit, it's gonna be easy, but you know. I may like not know the any of the things that happened with this pattern at one point. What did I do there? Oh, I folded this up. Okay, I was wondering why I went way out like 2 or 3 sizes here, and it's because I did the version with the piping and the cuff, and so I folded up my pattern right here, and I've never cut the long version without it. So I can tell it's not folded perfectly though. That's kind of annoying. Okay. All right, so this is my size right here. It's not gonna matter much. I'm gonna taper it. All right, so I'm tracing my back sleeve, and now I'm gonna trace my front sleeve. Big difference on this pattern, kind of funny. And there's the notch. The notch is on the back. That's weird. Usually the notch is always a 1/4 inch forward of the middle of the sleeve. Always. That is like sleeve standard rule. That one goes to the back, so. There's another company we've seen that on. Who was that? All right, so we're just going to, I'm just going to trace the front and the armhole. And I'm going to get my sleeve here. And trace my sleeve here. Voila. All right, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut my underarm seam and my hem. I'm actually gonna check this too. Let's see, like my sweater right now is, I'm gonna guess about 9.5 inches. All right, fine, I'll take the, see. There's nothing more awkward than watching someone else measure themselves. Am I right? Look at all the dog hair on me. Jeez Louise, I'm a mess. So it's about 10.5. I like that, you know. Let's see what this is. So 5 1/4 plus my seam allowance would be 10.5. We'll put the 5/8 on just to stay consistent with the rest of the pattern except for the facing. So there's my hem. So this is how I put in a hem shape. So here's the hemline. I did a 3/4 inch hem. Hi, Lisa. How are you? And I'm going to draw a straight line to this finished point of my sleeve. Right there. And now to get the little wing that goes out on the hem, I'm just going to line my ruler up on this line here. And I'm going to push my ruler to where when this 3/4 inch line on the ruler hits the underarm seam right there, then I'm going to mark a little point on this side right here and then draw it in. Because basically the cheater way to do it would be to just fold up your paper on the hemline and then just cut it, and then you'd have your shape as well. Because some trickier shapes, it's better to do that. On a computer, you can do this mirror feature, but some of the spots are kind of tricky where you do it. So, all right, so now I'm just gonna cut out my underarm and my hem. And not the cap quite yet. I'm gonna open it up for that. Your fold is your green line. Keep forgetting I'm zoomed in, so I want to make sure you guys are seeing everything. So then this is my back cap right here. And here's my notches. And so there was the notch of the sleeve. One thing I didn't check was if there's ease on this sleeve cap to the garment, because you don't need ease on a knit garment. It doesn't hurt, but you don't actually need it. So if you want this to be easier to sew, you could trim off the ease. So you would measure the sleeve cap on the seam line, not the cut edge, but the seam line. Measure your armhole, your total armhole. What I would do is overlap your armhole like this. I would overlap it at the shoulder, line it up on the seam line right here, right? So like that, right? And then you would measure this whole amount here. And you can go all the way to the cut edge if you went to all the way to the cut edge of your armhole, the cap of your sleeve, okay? So you're measuring on the seam line, and then you're measuring on the seam line here. And then that amount that's different, because the sleeve cap should probably be a bit bigger, is what you can trim off. And you can do that right here. So this sleeve actually has a really interesting shaped cap. It doesn't have a very full bicep because you don't see much out here. Hopefully this sleeve is like in the inch range of excess. So then you're only trimming off a 1/2 inch on each side. And then you can just blend in the curve a little bit. So, you know, say it is 1 inch. You're gonna take off that 1/2 inch, right? Go straight from the seam line juncture down to your wrist and adjust any hem shape that you might need, or just leave it. Probably won't be a big difference. And then if you need to kind of get your right angle back here, because you kind of need a right angle, then you just need to just kind of blend that in. But you take it off equally on each side, all right? So, or like I'm just gonna leave it in there. It's knit, it's very forgiving. And like I was telling you about the like shrinkage thing, you know, it's gonna keep shrinking a little bit after washing it multiple times. I'm not worried about it. If anything, leaving the excess in the sleeve is gonna give you more comfort. It's a looser fit. So, all right, so let's just cut a little bit of paper off here. And I'm just gonna put my grain line on here because it's habit and it'll bug me if I don't. I like seeing it. This is strange to me. I'm not kidding. Like usually the 1/4 inch, it's always right there. And that line, that little 1/4 inch forward of the fold line, or not the fold line, but the center, goes to your shoulder seam. Always. That's like, and when your sleeve gets like, when it's not doing that, then you kind of are getting into danger territory, and you might have to look at your sleeve block, because I've been there many times, and you're just like, argh. Adjusting all this is kind of crazy. But like I was saying, I saw some really interesting adjustments of the sleeve cap in my pattern drafting book that I haven't really delved into. But I hear a lot of you say that you're like, sleeves are always really tight through here. And there were some really interesting adjustments. So I'm going to go over that when we get to our sleeve sloper, which might be in December, but you need your bodice first. So we're going to do the bodice in November and then the sleeve in December, I'm hoping. Unless you're having lots of fit issues that you want to address and we can talk about. So what we'll talk about too in November is making sure we're all talking about the same thing. Like, I am the biggest person to say that lingo doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't care if you call something incorrectly. That doesn't bother me. I don't like that was always my thing with my clients. Like, they would get rejected by factories because they didn't know lingo, you know? And it's like, you know what? As long as we understand what we're talking about, that's all that matters. But we all need to be on the same page since I can't see what you're talking about. And so we're going to try and identify some things like, okay, like the forward shoulder adjustment you've talked about, like I'm going to look that up and see if I know what you're talking about and whatever. And we'll make some of those things. And so if you guys can identify what your fit issue is with your block, then we can go over it. So yeah, right, Samia? Is it because you're right or left-handed? Because that's very common. Yeah, and a half a centimeter, that's like, I was getting so good with my centimeters. Yeah. Right? These are centimeters. So that's like 1/4 inch. That's not bad. That's not too bad. I'm sure I'm more than that. All right. Let me label this so it doesn't get lost with all the other things in here. All right. But it fits great. That's funny. Right, I hung them up. Okay. Oakley dokley. So, I'm going to say 1/4 inch, 5/8 inch seams. I just wish patterns would just do that. Like, it's one more line of text. Can't you just write 5/8 inch seams? You do this in the industry. They don't allow much on the cover of your this part, but you do write that. Let's see, I can see my 1/4 inch here. All right. Oh, I can't cut out. I haven't washed my fabric, you guys. Dang it. I'm sorry. Dang. You put oh, that's smart, Terry. I don't trace off patterns enough. But you know what I think I'm going to do from now on is every time we make something, I'm going to try and remember to write it on the pattern pieces, you know? Because it's like a little gift to yourself later on, you know? So, dang. I forgot I haven't pre-washed my fabric. Shoot. So here's my fabric. And for, I think I'm just going to make, so this is my tops are going to be in the knit, moths, and the floral. I'm going to do this binding for that and this one for this. It's just a habit, right? And then I'll make the pants out of this. I hope I have enough fabric. I know I was cutting it close. But I could actually do shorts too. That would be fine. But that would be too much fabric. Pajama skirt? I think I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of thinking about batch sewing 2 sets together next week. But I feel like that's a lot of things to sew all in one week. Because Wednesday, I'm going to cut out the top and the pants. And then I'm going to sew the top Thursday and the pants Saturday. I just don't think I can sew two pairs of pants and 2 tops. I know I could, but I feel like those streams would be kind of long. You know? You guys might be like, okay. So yeah. So then let's talk about this calendar I made up. So one of you sent me a really nice email. I think her name is Amanda. And she said, you know, I really like sewing with you. I want to sew with you with what you're sewing. So can you maybe post your schedule further in advance? All right, so now we're getting into the holiday season. And it's getting a little tricky. I feel like losing 1 week is a lot, you know. So this week right here, November 6th. Let's see if can I point to it? Is the Carolyn Pajamas, which is next week. And then the following week, November 13th, 14th, and 16th, we're going to do the front and back bodice sloper. So next week, I'm going to give you guys a list of measurements that you can have of yourself so you can do it along with me, all right? The following week is a sponsored stream for Hearts Fabric, and we're going to do kids' clothes, which for some of you, that might be really great gift-giving opportunities for the holidays if you have some kids in your life, because we're going to do 3 of them. And then the last week is a holiday week typically here in the States. A lot of people celebrate Thanksgiving, and I'm going to take that week off, I'm pretty sure. I may go travel. I'm not sure yet. So, but if I stream that week, I'll let you know. And then in December, what I'm thinking is the first week, I want to put together a bunch of streams that are gift oriented, since someone asked that. I think that'd be really fun. I'm totally down to do that. So if you guys have any ideas, and maybe I'll ask Hearts if they have any like small gift idea projects and see if they want to give us some ideas for that, because that would be great. And maybe I'll just stream every day that week, like the 3rd through like Tuesday through Saturday, and we'll just do a bunch of gift. Like, wouldn't that be, I think that would be great. Like if we were just like, let's knuckle down and do it. It's the first week of December. It's not too late. You can still, if you get it done that week, you can still get it in the mail to someone by, and then they'll get it in time, right? See how the time is just like slipping by really quickly? So, and then the week after that is when, again, we'll address our sloper, our bodice, our basic block, you know? And if we can, we'll start with this, we'll do the sleeve. And so maybe just like 1 week a month, we're going to keep working on this, you guys. We got this. Yeah, so if you guys have any gift ideas, let me know. Because what I would really like to do is cut and sew it on the same day. I don't mind if some are a little involved and we need to do 2 days, as long as it's a really good item that a lot of people would be really like into. Oh, cool. Really, Louise? That's awesome. Yeah, so Heart sent us those. Those patterns are by Sew Over It. It's like a little offshoot for kids' clothes. And you guys, that's where my background is. I started in kids' clothing. Yeah, so Eliza, if you have any ideas, you know, because I know there's like the things like a table runner or napkins or things like that. I'm actually totally down to do those things because I need new napkins. But I also really want to do some research because I don't want them to need to be ironed. So I feel like we could do like a little, yeah, so bring the gift ideas, you guys. Like if you can start giving them to me by the week we do the drafting the bodice sloper this month, like the week of the 13th, so I can get everything ready and let you know what we're going to be doing so you guys can get your stuff ready. And we're going to have some communal sew days for gifts. We're going to hang out together and sew, okay? That'll be fun. I haven't sewn gifts in a while. Go figure. We could do like a grocery bag, like the stow bag by Grain Lane Studio. We could do the stow bag. Yeah, pillowcases. That's a great one. All right, let me start. I actually put a piece of paper here so I could write down. And then the week after our sloper in December, we're going to do another coat. And then the last week is another holiday week here in the States. Aprons for, okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Lexi. Okay, so what's it called? It's called the 1 yard bias apron. I love bias. 1 yard bias apron. Okay. And then the grocery bag, pillowcases, zip pouches or boxy bags. Yeah. I think I agree. I think a bag would be good. Wait, did I miss one other thing? Let's see. Yeah, pillowcase. Yeah. Oh, so everyone could sleep on the same one on Christmas Eve. Eliza, that's so cute. Mittens, or I want to make a muff for my mom to put ham for. Really? Can we do that in a non-knitted version? I have the stow bag and I've never made that. That's by Grain Line, right? Grain Line, right? Not Closet Case. I used to get those two confused. Don't tell anybody. The zippered notions case pattern that I give out with the newsletter for free, Malin, would that work? Because that little notions case is really useful that way. And then I do have a boxy bag pattern coming out at some point. But we could do like the dot bag. Green Line, yeah, okay. Yeah, so if we can come up with like 5 ideas if they're day things, you know, I feel like this is going to be really fun. And you could batch do it, you know. So you don't have to do all of them, but 1 yard bias apron by Decades of Style, grocery bag, pillowcase, zip pouches, boxy bags. Anything else? Was it Heather that suggested this last stream or a couple streams ago? Where is she? What other things could we do? We could do the little friend pouch that we did. That was fun. Clume House is a great tote pattern. Oh, you know what? I think I've seen that on your website, Lexi, because when I saw, it's like a tote, right? With leather straps. Is that the one I'm thinking of? When I saw that on your website before you guys sponsored me and before I visited, I almost contacted you guys and said, because you had just gotten them in this summer, and I was like, hey, I could ask them if they want me to sew that, and then you could have it back, you know? Yeah, right? Okay. Yeah, and those, don't you make kits of those? Or you can buy the leather handle kits, yeah. It was, yeah, a small bag for Jim to put water bottle and a small toilet bag. Yeah. Well, a lot of folks, Eliza, use a rivet. They don't sew it on all the time because some of them are too thick to sew on. Like my machine, you have to like pre-drill the holes. Clume House has pre-made kits. Okay, I thought I saw something on your site, but yeah, they have like the pre-made kits with the like handles and things. Lexi, do you guys have leather scraps there or leather for sale? Like small pieces? I'm curious. Yeah, so I wouldn't mind, like, it would be great to come up with, you use cotton webbing for yours. Yeah, see, I have a lot of webbing as well. That's probably what, it's easier to sew and wash. I like washable things. I used to have a grocery bag pattern that I could give you guys. Like, I could just tell you the measurements of it. You have small pieces, not a lot though. Oh, okay. I have a friend that's looking for some leather scraps. Maybe I'll tell him to give you a call. Gloves. I'm not sewing gloves, Terry. You and your highfalutin sewing ambitions can sew the gloves for us. I'm just kidding. I love you. It just brings back this nightmare I had. I had this really amazing client as a pattern drafter for a while. Yeah, right, Lexi? Exactly. A lot of people aren't. And I respect that for sure. I used to do, she had some pretty involved patterns, which were really fun. But one time she was like, all right, I need this one pattern kind of fast. I didn't let people rush me, except a couple of them that I knew were on the ball. And so she was like, I really need this photo sample because my sample member can't do it. And so, she sent me the fabric and the cuff. It was gloves. First of all, it was gloves. And then the cuff was in fake fur. And I was just like, she doesn't know my policy. There's no fake fur allowed in my office. So, gloves. I mean, mittens. Oh, really, Julia? That's cool. What are you going to put them on? I know, and Noodlehead's been talking a lot about Robert Kaufman's Waxer Canvas. Bow D.O. for faux leather. Oh, faux leather. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we need to do more bags. I really wish that I could just sew with you guys and not have to make a living. You know what I mean? Because it would be just so nice to just sew all these things, but I need to come up with some way to finance all this. Bodio for faux leather. That's a mouthful, Lisa. A quilted bag kit. Oh. Will you send me a picture of it? Is there hand sewing? I'm looking for a hand sewing project. Don't judge me. I really want to get better at hand sewing. I want to like it more. You can send it to me on Instagram, maybe. I want to see it. All right. But so it would be nice to have like a nice big ticket item to sew someone, you know, like something with like a tote bag that takes a little bit of fabric, or you might want to use a nice fabric for. But it'd be nice to have smaller projects that you could do a few of, right? Because you might have like that group of people on your list that you're like, I'm going to make them all pillowcases, right? Right, Louise? Hi, Rachel. How's it going? We're just talking about, Rachel, maybe you have some ideas. We are talking about doing a bunch of gift sewing the first week of December, and we're going to sew Tuesday through Saturday. I'm going to stream every day, and we're looking for small gift projects because I want to like cut and sew all in one day. So far we have the 1 Yard Bias Apron by Decades of Style. doing a grocery bag of some sort or a bag. I was thinking like the stow bag just because it's all soft. And it's stowable, you know, like you can, like, people always need grocery bags, right? Pillowcases, zip pouches, boxy bags, and now we've been talking about handles and stuff. You need a hand sewing project too. You're going to Mexico for 6 weeks. Wow. Oh no, Beverly, exactly. I know. That's what knitting was really great for, Beverly. Gosh darn it, you might just have to read a book. It's for the birds, I know. But it's so much better when you can listen to a book and do something with your hands. Beverly sent me a link to another streamer, and I watched her for a bit today, and it was like a playback of a live stream, and it really inspired me. I'm like, looks like she's doing really good. Like she's got, I couldn't tell how many viewers she had talking with her, but they were all talking and stuff, and I thought that was really great. And it actually today made me feel like, okay, I'm hoping that this still keeps building, you know? Yep, take up knitting. Oh, Mona Me Bag, I've heard of that. Debbie Shore, most of her books, and they're all full of ideas. Debbie Shore? Okay, let's look at that. Okay. I just want to make things that people actually want. What did you say? The bag pattern is by Mona Me Bag. The bag, oh, it's called the Mona Me Bag by Quilt Plus. Doesn't that mean friend? Is it hand sewing? You know, Beverly, I don't know what kind of things you're into, but have you ever seen the hand sewing kits that are by Alabama Shannon? They are really spendy, but if you're looking for like a slow project, it's they are clothing based. So if you're a clothing based sewist, she has knit skirts, and it's just really great technique, and they turn out really great. Like I've seen people making them, and then when I see them on, I want it. They're really cool. It's like two-tone, and you like hand stitch all like the cutaway of it, of the leaves and things like that. I'm describing this terribly right now. Just go to the website. So you piece together. Okay, Booth was pinned. Handles. Okay. Alabama Shannon. And the Shannon part is spelled Chanin. Yeah, her stuff's amazing. Oh, really? That's cool. Alabama Slamma. I think that's what you're going to be drinking in Mexico. Oh, the pom-pom bag. They're an Etsy shop. Go find the kit for something called the pom-pom bag. Okay. Well, for our gift things, I'm hoping also to find things that we're all not going out and buying everything for. It would be really nice. Like, I don't mind buying a pattern, but I really want to use what we all have, right? So that's a drink, right? Pom-pom bag. Last year I made, what did I make? I made the Dop Kit bag by Grainline Studio. So we could do that. I have to look. What else did I do? I made the quilt for my mom, and you're working on an Alabama Shannon skirt? That's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, I actually want to do something like that Alabama Shannon skirt, but I don't want to copy her idea, and I just want to do something that's more affordable, just in case anyone else wants to join along. Yeah, the Dop Kit. I would totally make another one of those. They're really fun. I actually think they're still sitting here, a couple of them. Yeah, that's true. Wine bags do get passed on. I just don't know if I would make something like that because, I don't know. What is it about it? I don't like the burden of having those things to pass on again. You guys, I'm a weirdo. Like this Brooke gave me this patch, and oh, you don't have my, I don't have the overhead camera. You see it says weirdo? That's why. Yeah, the Noodlehead backpack's good, but I've streamed that twice, so there's options for that. Oh, really? That's cool, Julia. Bye, Brown Sugar. Have a great trip. That's awesome. It's Dia de los Muertos today. So you're going to get a sugar skull? All right. All right. Well, I feel like we have some really good ideas so far. So we have time to think about things. We'll talk about it again next week and then the next. And then we'll get all of our stuff the week I'm off, right? And we're going to have them all ready to make all the things you want to make. I'm already starting to think. I feel like I'm not very good at coming up with these kinds of things. That's why I really want your help. Because I want to make things you guys want to make. So I'm trying to think of any of my patterns I could do really quickly for free. I just don't think I have anything that's appropriate. Yeah, right? I don't use placemats, but I feel like they're a nice thing to have. Like, I would really like napkins. Or you could do an oven mitt to go with the apron, Eliza. An oven mitt that actually fits. You know what I mean? There aren't oven mitts that fit your hand. The stupid things are so dangerous. I got one from, who's the nice pot maker? The really nice one? Oven mitts, yeah. I'm writing it down because I want an oven mitt that fits. And it's really nice because it has like, it's cloth, but it has like a grippy thing on it so that grips things. It's like silicone strips are adhered to it. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, an oven mitt that fits, right? And I swear to you, I could cut the thing in half because to do this, to make it bend and like to do it with one hand, we're making oven mitts, people. And those are going to be for us. That's our gift to ourselves. Yes, exactly, Melin, right? A bowl cozy. I really like, I have a dish carrier. Oh, you guys, I have a potluck dish carrier pattern that you guys can do. Dang, do I have one here? It's cool because it's a circle and it's 2 layers and then there's a slit on the top layer. And so you slip your dish inside there and there's handles and then you can carry your potluck dish. Yeah. Right, Lisa? I know the old ones actually worked. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So pot holders for sure. I'm drafting a pattern for that. And we're going to call it pot holders that work. What do you guys mean by bowl cozy? Do you mean like something that holds a bowl? Yeah, right, Eliza? Dish carrier, apron, and oven mitt. We're getting a theme. This is sounding a little domestic, though. Hi, Kathleen. Yeah, right? I actually have one for that. A 13 by 9 casserole carrier. Yeah, I have 2 sizes. I have one that's that big and then one that's round for like a pie or a cake. I used to go to a lot of potlucks. I'll try and bring mine in because it's something I could tell you the measurements of and you guys can make and then we'll just sew it together. Oh, it's square and quilted, keeps a hot bowl of chili from burning your hand. So you hold it like this. I could totally use that because you know what I do? I put it on another plate here at the office, or I put it on a cup. What the heck is a cup thingy called? Oh my God. I think maybe, I'm not even hungry. Do I need lunch? One of these. You know, so you put your glass on there. What's this called? Oh my God. Yeah, coaster. Thank you. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mug wrap. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I think Beverly, I think like you could use, as long as it's thick enough and then the fabric on the outside isn't going to transfer heat particularly quickly, you're okay. But I'll look into it. Yeah, I've made a lot of coasters before because I love binding. I actually have probably 100 coasters still cut out from something because I accidentally cut one side too many of to go with something. And it was like the thing we gave away for free for Small Business Saturday once was a coaster and something else. And we made them. They were really cute too because they had like little cats and sweaters on the top. I still have one sitting at my machine. Yeah, denim would be great. Yeah, cotton batting, exactly. And what I'm thinking is the key though is that they're like, it stays in the folded shape and then there's like a little like pocket that you put your hand in, you know, but that it gets deep enough into your hand like this, you know, it gets in there. Because I don't like it when it feels like it's going to slip off, right? And what if there was like a little piece of elastic in there that you could slip your fingers under so it stays on your hand? Yeah, binding, right? Yeah. Yeah, fleece hats are really easy to sew. That's true. Let's write that down. I am so excited about gosh darn pot holders right now. It's ridiculous. Okay. All right. I'm excited. Okay, you guys. Yeah, you don't want to turn those things inside out. Me either. I hate turning stuff inside out. And you know, I could actually, I didn't, but we could have run them through our binding machine and then just folded back the binding really cheaply. I didn't do that, but I could fire up my binding machine, run some placemats through. You guys all have a binding machine, right? I won't do that, I promise. If you have like a baby, like a new baby in your world, I feel like a really good gift is the towel with the hood on it. And that's so easy to make, you know? Okay, is there a difference between an oven mitt and a pot holder? You can't find wool felt around there, Kathleen? Are you willing to order it? Because it's not hard to find if you order it. I find it on Etsy pretty easily. Yeah, burp cloths are good. Of course you all do. Yeah, if you go on Etsy, Kathleen, you can, if you look up wool felt, you can find, I actually wrote this later on in the description of the cupcake and the pie pincushion at the bottom, what the yield is, because I saw a lot of people selling certain sizes, so you can kind of get an idea of how many you can get out of it. So yeah, Etsy's great because you can get like a pack of a bunch of different colors, which is really nice. I know that Hearts has some Melton wool, but I'm not sure if Melton wool, I feel like Melton wool is a little drapier. I keep seeing something out of the corner of my eye. I'm sorry, I keep looking over. I think the lighting is just right that I'm seeing something like a leaf. Yeah, yeah, because you don't want to use craft felt. You can use craft felt or canvas, though. I feel like canvas actually gives a really nice, like, sleek shape, so. Oven mitts are hand shaped. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. You like the oven mitts for being able to reach in. So we kind of need two different versions. Because I use an oven, but mostly I use a really nice convection toaster oven. I really love it. And when I open the door, same with my oven, it's magnetized and it pulls the rack out a little bit. So I just need to be able to get the lip of the thing, you know? But I don't like using, like I'm notoriously use towels, but then some of the towel slips away, right? Because the towel, it's thinner, you can feel it. It's easier to grab and know you've got it. So I'll bet we are not the first to try and solve this world issue. There's a lot of information on the internet for it, but anyway, I could put my pattern table back because I'm writing on this little list right here. So that's good. We are good. I'm excited about gift sewing. I might even do like throw a bunch of like patchwork squares together and maybe make little pet mats, you know. I don't know. I don't have anyone in my life really that could use that though. They're great for cats and small dogs. Everyone has a big dog around me. Hey, does anyone know a good knit pattern for a sweater for a small dog? I'm so excited I get to do that. Yeah, Julia, you have seen my fabrics? Yeah. So this is knit and this is poplin. Same thing. Knit and poplin. So that's my jammies. These are my jammies. I'm excited. I decided to go with this like subtle one here. Yeah. Spoonflower. The knit was 25% off last month. No, I did not. No, I did not design these. This one is designed by Jada Fitch. This moth. She specializes in birds and other things like this. Her fabrics, definitely check out her fabrics if you like the moths. I have a friend that this fabric would make her throw up and pass out. She hates moths. This one was designed by Sarah True. This is the biggest improvement Spoonflower has done in the last few years, is put the designer on the fabric, and Jada Fitch. Fitch. I tagged her in one of the Instagram posts. Yeah, the moths. There's another. She does another moth print, or someone else did. It was hard to choose, but they look almost identical, don't they? Because the fabric base is totally different. Yeah, Fitch. My binding is 1 3/8. I know, I love the moths. And this one's hand cut. This was cut by a contractor, but they're supposed to both be 1 3/8. I think actually sometimes I cut it. Yeah, so 1 3/8. Not bad, Jeremy. So yeah, so I'm going to use this in the little trim of the facing. It's peeking out. Yeah, and Sarah True, I tagged them both on Instagram. I don't know if they post a lot of their work on there. This gal's really into like birds and even bird photography and stuff. And she looks pretty prolific in surface design. So pretty cool. Thankfully, I could find them on Instagram. That is like the one thing. Like Spoonflower, I really wish they would let them link their socials on there, you know, because I really want to give credit to these designers. And when I did the Harry Potter thing, you guys, I was ordering up to 20 to 30 different fabrics. Sometimes that would be each designer, totally different designer. Finding them all and tagging them every time I posted something was impossible. So I just did it all in my product description. It was like, these are the designers. Their designer name may differ than the one they use on Instagram, Facebook, Redbubble, Society Sticks. It's just like, oh man, it's really hard for them to promote their work. Really hard. The struggle, man. So, and a lot of people just are like, oh, I do this. Maybe I'll throw some designs up on Spoonflower, you know. Other people are like Spoonflower all day long, you know. So it's just you never know. All right, well, I'm gonna head out. We didn't get to cut the tops out, but I was planning on doing that Wednesday. So I'm gonna cut my tops and my bottoms out and decide if I'm gonna sew them both back to back next week. So I have 2 sets by the end of the week. So okay, great, Rachel. Thank you. Night, Louise. We're heading out too. Sleep well. It's daylight savings tonight, all you Americans out there. So fall back. Get up at 2 a.m., change your clock. Or 3 a.m., right? So, yeah, and start thinking about that. Yeah, this is the Organic Knit. Organic Knit Ultra. And then the Poplin, I would either pick the Poplin or the Kona. Wait, they don't have Kona anymore. Petal. I'm not totally up to date on all their substrates because they changed a couple since I've been there. But now when you when you select your fabric on Spoonflower, a whole list of images comes up of each one. It's kind of interesting. So this is really nice. It feels really good. It's pretty thick. Let's see what the stretch is like. It's pretty stretchy in my experience. Let's see though. I haven't even unfolded it yet. So this is the length grain right here. And it tells you on the, yeah, it's not very stretchy on the length grain, but the cross grain is pretty stretchy. And then the length grain, pretty much nothing. So I wouldn't pick this for leggings. But they have the performance knit, which I've made a few monetas out of, which is great. And then the poplin is very crisp, tightly woven. I've used it for lots of things. I really like the print quality on it, but it is very lightweight. So if you want something with a little bit more weight to it, you might look at the ounces or however they phrase it, grams per square meter, which is GSM, or the ounces, and just pick something that's a little heavier than this if you want something lightweight. So, but this will be great in the summer with a tank top, you know, this with shorts. So they're gonna be kind of crazy. I'm excited. So yeah, I would. I have, and I'm trying to think. Do they have a Pima? If you don't mind standing here waiting, I'll look, because I'm pretty versed on the Spoonflower stuff. Let me just look at the substrates. So let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, let's see, I'm already subscribed. They have a coupon code if you're new. It just came up. This computer doesn't know me. So I'm getting different stuff, which is kind of cool. So let's see, we're gonna stick a fabric in my cart here. So let's see. So when you go and look at the fabrics, under each one, it'll tell you what it's good for, you know? Yeah, poplin is pretty thin, and it's not like incredibly drapey. It's a little crisp. Depends on what you want to do with it. But if you're doing like a darted blouse, like something that's got some structure, I think it would work great. Like they say, appropriate for quilting, shirting, skirts, dresses, pajamas, and home decor. So they have something like 19 or 20 things. They have velvet, chiffon, poplin, cotton spandex jersey, cypress cotton canvas. They have different names for some of these. Dogwood denim. I like the lightweight cotton twill a lot if you're using for bag making or something with a little bit. It's not very heavy and the print quality is really good. They do have fleece. Yeah, a lawn is better, and I'm trying to think if they have linen. Oh, and the modern jersey, Julia, is always a good choice, but it's polyester and spandex. This is the organic cotton knit that I used. Organic cotton sateen. I feel like this is kind of heavy. Clothing and pillows. They have a PK, but it's performance, and so it's 100% polyester. Is that what you're talking about? The silky file, that is like, it's very stable. The print quality is amazing. It's polyester, and it's like washes really great, but it feels, it's slippery. It's not satin slippery, but it's slippery. Because that's what I made that robe from Sprout. Who was that robe by? The Asaka. Turned out great. I gave it to Cricket because I ended up picking the wrong size. So as far as like wovens in for clothes, they have a dogwood denim. And let's see. They don't say the weight. Oh, it's 11.6 ounces. Okay, that's great. That's a good weight. Poplin. Let's see. Are these all their bases? All fabric types. Here we go. Because sometimes when you pick a fabric, this is something I should mention. the designer can say they don't want their fabric printed on certain bases. So just because you see the bases you see with a design doesn't mean it's all the bases they offer. Yeah, like that person didn't, I don't think, had petal just now. And the petal is quilting, craft projects, costuming, toys, and accessories. So it doesn't say it's for clothing. The satin, I wouldn't use satin. The cotton poplin would be my go-to. They could get a better clothing weight, to be honest. Night, Samia. Yeah, they used to have a really lightweight fabric, Rachel, and it was so lightweight. I bought it and I was like, ooh, I don't gotta wear anything in this. I ended up making bags to put my hand knits in for when I travel. Like that's how like unusable it was, and they deleted it. Like they got rid of it pretty quickly. So they even have Minky, and I've seen stuff printed on the Minky, and it's pretty good. You can get a sample kit if you're new to sewing and you're trying to learn about fabric. The Spoonflower sample kit is really great because you get a swatch of every single fabric in their line. I think this is $3. And you get to see the exact same colors printed on each one and how they'll vary. You know? It's pretty handy. So, like you can see like the wallpaper and the knit. Look at how grainy the Sport Lycra knit is, you know? But what's great about this too is that when you're designing fabric and you get, like say you get the color map. I have one on the wall behind me. You guys can't see it today, but you've seen it. You can say, okay, like when you're looking on your screen and you're designing the fabric and you pick black, that doesn't mean it's going to print black. Like you pick the black that's on the map. Yeah, so the kit is really awesome. It's cheap. And it just gives you a really good understanding of all their fabrics. Like this they don't have anymore. They don't have that anymore. So it changes, and that's why having it cheap. And see, then look, they tell you the color number that they use. So you can say when you're designing your fabric, you can put in that color number into your program and know exactly how it's going to print. And I've tested this and it works. But it's so invaluable. So when I have friends that text me and ask questions about this, and I'm like, I can tell you, but it's really great just to have this kit. It's so handy. This is like probably my 4th or 5th kit over the years. This is the nicest it's ever been. It's really cool. And like, look at this one. It tells you in the corner up here, the direction of the stretch and that it's moisture wicking. So it's pretty cool that way. This one right here says upholstery approved in this little thing here. And this is the Celosia velvet. It's got a kind of a gross backing on it. So it's probably approved for upholstery use because it's stable. It's not really velvet, because velvet's usually rayon and silk. They have gift wrap and wallpaper and stuff too. So I'm a pro member, and there's also this long leaf sateen grand. And there's another one too that I get, this one here, which I've actually gotten, the perennial sateen grand. I think that it's 116 inches wide. So you can actually print, you can get the most bang for your buck if you were printing fabric by using this. And the pro membership is about $250 a year. I used my my commission from selling fabric all year round to buy it, so it didn't cost me anything. So the commissions I get from selling knit print don't give me that much money, and so I just kind of bank it, and then I use it to use because you get free shipping as a pro member. You get access to those two. You get prioritized shipping and something else. And you get discounted swatches and things like that. And you also get a discount on fabric, especially over a certain yardage amount. And for chicken boots, I would save something like $800 easily in the first 6 months using that pro membership, because we would buy, like 100 yards of fabric, And so I bought my pro membership. I'm not probably going to buy it next year. I haven't hardly used Spoonflower this year. But it is kind of nice. Like for the commissions, I just will use it to pay for expedited shipping, you know. I should have done that this month. So I got my Halloween fabric. Yeah, sheets. I mean, wouldn't that be cool, Julia? Or a duvet cover? You know? Like now I'm thinking myself, like I've wanted to get new duvets for Michael and I since we got the new bed, and I need twin duvets now and I don't have those. And I haven't really, all I can find is polyester ones and I don't want to get shocked. But now I'm realizing I could just use my pro membership by the end of the year, get the sateen grand and just make my duvet cover. That's what I should do. Right? 116 inches wide. If any of you want to order that, I hope it's still on there. I think like, it doesn't probably come up, I'm just going to tell you, it probably doesn't come up in the list of fabrics unless you're a pro member, just to warn you. Wallpapers. Yeah, so, oh, you can order unprinted fabric. I had no idea you could do that. Very cool. So the sample pack is $3. Yeah. $3, you guys. Yeah, that's awesome, Rachel. Yeah, so I mean I don't really want to make sheets, to be honest, but you could. You know? Some velvet sheets. No, I'm just teasing. All right, I'm out of here. All right, you guys. Well, this was fun. This was fun. I really like it when we hang out and chat. And I'm really excited about doing the gift sewing and the sloper making and the jammy making and the kids' clothes. Bye again. I will see you guys Wednesday. We're going to cut out these jammies. Have a great weekend. I always miss you guys so much over the weekend, but I hope you get a lot of sewing done. My name's Sarami. If you're new and you want to chat with us, we really love it when you do. You just need to create an account on YouTube, and that's called a channel. Don't worry, you don't have to start streaming video. They just have a weird name for it. And if you want to support me, I'm on Patreon, and you can donate with Streamlabs, and what's the other one? Oh, Twitch Prime if you're on Twitch. It's all in the description of the video. So, oh, brushed cotton for jammies. Like, they need a flannel. They need a flannel. They used to have a flannel. That's interesting. So anyway, all right, you guys, have a great weekend. Happy Dia de los Muertos, and I will see you guys soon. So take care.